Hi guys, I'm back with a quick update. I decided to do this series. I'm going to break up into my first, second, and third trimester. People are like genuinely interested in my twin pregnancy. I don't know why, but I get asked a lot of questions about it, just like how it all happened, my symptoms, how I'm feeling. So I wanted to make a quick video, honestly for myself as well, just to like document my pregnancy per trimester. So this will be my first video out of 3, potentially 4, if I decide to document the birth video to put on YouTube, but I don't really know how that's gonna go, so I don't know. Also, just a quick like disclaimer, my twins are not IVF. I know that I get that question a lot, or people assume that they're IVF twins. They're not. Nothing against IVF or IUI. I know the struggle, trust me, but we didn't go that route. They were just God-given. And we feel extremely blessed to have these little 2 growing inside of me right now. So just wanted to put that out there before starting this whole question thing. So how we found out, or the process of us even, I guess, finding out that I was pregnant. So long story short, basically, we were trying for 2 years with no luck, after like mentally and emotionally and even like physically like being broken down. I decided to just stop trying because, you know, William was extremely supportive. We did testing. Him and I did testing. I did 2 rounds of Clomid that never worked for me. I ended up getting like diagnosed with chemical pregnancy. So yeah, but it didn't go through. So technically, like, I wasn't pregnant. I don't know, like my body just reacted to it and had all the symptoms of being pregnant. I don't know all the like scientific things behind it or whatnot, but yeah. So anyway, so after the 2.5 years and 2 rounds of Clomid, I couldn't do it anymore after like the positive and negative of the chemical pregnancy. But basically we got pregnant after 2 months when we said we're not going to try anymore. So it kind of did come as a shock for William and I both that I was even pregnant, because I thought I just couldn't get pregnant, or it was going to take a longer time. It felt like it was God's timing, because honestly, if God would have given me twins 2 years ago, I just don't think I was in the right mindset, like mentally and emotionally, to handle my pregnancy or even the twins or even like William. So yeah, like both William and I think grew as a couple and individually. I did go to therapy. We, you know, just worked on ourselves. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, it came down to like God's timing. Like God knew what he was doing whenever he blessed us with my pregnancy and these twins. So how I told William, and how I found out as well that I was pregnant. So basically it was a Friday morning. I had missed my period, or it had been longer than normal since my cycles are irregular, like TMI, but If you are a girl, you know what that means. So like having a cycle that would last or 44 days like was normal to me. So I just didn't think anything of it. However, on that particular Friday, I was like at day 46, 47, and I was okay. I was like, well, this is kind of longer than usual. So I had decided to take a pregnancy test, which was incredibly dreadful for me because I had taken countless of pregnancy tests. And they all came out negative, right? So I'm just like dreading it. That was one. Two, I was like, well, we weren't like trying to get pregnant. And like, just because we weren't trying, like, I just didn't think it would happen, right? And so I was super hesitant. I didn't want to, but I was like, well, like, let me just take the pregnancy test and see what happens. So Friday morning, I wake up, I take the pregnancy test that I had at home, which was like the pee stick that shows like 1 or 2 lines. And so like as soon as it hit, it showed like 1 line, and I'm like, okay, that's common. That's what I've always been getting, just the 1-liner. And then a second line kind of started coming in like as a fade almost. And I was like, I don't know about this. So I was a bit skeptical about that pregnancy test. So I go and get the one that actually has the words like pregnant, not pregnant. Like I need to know. And I actually went to the office that day, now that I remember. So I did the pregnancy test at the office. And it came back that positive, I was pregnant. I was like, no way, like no way. And so I did a second one. Same. I was like in total shock. I didn't know how to react. Obviously, I was beyond excited and happy, but it came as a surprise. Yeah. And so whenever I came home, I picked up Chick-fil-A. I did a half day that Friday, so I came home like around lunchtime. So I picked up Chick-fil-A. I put the pregnancy test inside of the Chick-fil-A bag. I wrapped it, of course, so William can open it. And he finds the pregnancy test, and he's like, oh, you're pregnant. Like very nonchalant, zero reaction. And I was like, yeah, I'm pregnant. I was like, and so I started crying because I got emotional. And I was like, is that like the only reaction I'm going to get from you? And he's like, well, I already kind of knew that you were pregnant just because like you were just so emotional, you know, like this week. And it had been like longer than usual for like your period, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, I would have loved a reaction from him, but I didn't really get that. But nevertheless, we were both really excited, in shock, like I said, but his reaction, we needed to work on that. So we found out that we were having twins at week 5 or 6. So it was very, very early on for me, just because I actually had to go to the doctor. I was bleeding a bit, and so I was really scared, you know, of a miscarriage. So I like freaked out. I told my doctor, like, I would love to come in. This is what's going on. And she's like, okay, like, come in. So it was kind of, I guess like an emergency like doctor visit with my OB. Once I got there, I did an ultrasound with the ultrasound tech, and he was like looking at doing like the ultrasound, and he kept saying like, okay, like the babies are fine, you know, like you're fine, like everything's okay. And whenever he said babies as in plural, like I feel like that didn't really like register with me. I was like, okay. But then as we kept going with like the conversation, I was like, he kept saying babies. I was like, okay, hold on. Babies, like, what are you talking about? And he's like, yeah, you're having twins. No one told you? I was like, no one has told me. I was like, this is my first ultrasound that I'm doing. And he's like, oh yeah, congratulations. And so he like shows me like baby A and baby 2 and how they're like in their own like sac, they have their own placenta. And so I was in utter shock. I'm like, what do you mean? There's 2 in there. And he's like, yeah, so, since this is your first ultrasound and you're having multiples, now I have to check for a 3rd baby. I was like, oh gosh, no. I was like, God, I was like, please let it just be 2 in there. Like, I have no idea what I would do with 3. And so, yeah, thank God there was only 2 in there. I remember leaving the doctor's office and just like, I was crying out of like nervousness, happiness, shock. Like there were so many emotions going through just like my whole entire body. So I called William through FaceTime because he sadly couldn't come with me since it was an emergency doctor's visit and he had other plans for work that he couldn't cancel to come. But yeah, so I FaceTime him. I show him the ultrasound and he's like, babies are good. Or he's like, babe, is the baby okay? I was like, yes, the babies are okay. And he's like, what? He's like, babies? And I was like, yeah. And so I show him how there's like 2 little socks and we both just start crying. I'm about to cry now. Like we both just start crying like out of excitement, shock, and it was just such a beautiful like experience, like knowing that you're growing 2 babies. Which, by the way, that was the reaction I was expecting from William whenever I told him that I was pregnant, but little did I know I was gonna get this other amazing reaction from him whenever I told him I was pregnant with twins. So I got the reaction. So my symptoms started at around week 9, I believe, which was also a little bit mentally challenging in a way because everyone kept asking me like, what symptoms do I have? Like, oh, like, you're already 8 weeks, 7 weeks in, like, you don't have any symptoms. I'm like, no, like, I don't. And so I started to like panic or freak out as if like I needed to have symptoms like around that week or in those weeks. And so I Googled, right? Like, I forgot what I Googled, but basically like it was telling me that if you weren't having symptoms by like week 7 or something, then it was like a high percentage of like a miscarriage. And so I just like cried for like a full day. I called my doctor and I was like, oh my gosh, like, am I gonna have a miscarriage? Like, what's going on? And actually, one thing I forgot to mention earlier is that whenever I went for my emergency like doctor checkup, on week 5 or 6, whenever I kind of started like bleeding a little bit, my doctor put me on proestrogen to, I think, help with the possibility of not getting a miscarriage. So I was already taking those medications by then, by like week 9. But yeah, I just like, it freaked me out when Google told me that I might have a like potential like miscarriage if I didn't have any like symptoms of pregnancy by X amount of week. And after that, I told myself literally, do not Google anything else. Like, call your doctor, because it literally freaked me out. Guys, if you're pregnant, don't Google. Like, just call your doctor. So the symptoms that I had when I finally got symptoms, which was by honestly like the following week, like week 10 or something like that, is whenever I started to feel like death. I looked like death. I probably even touched death. Like, I don't know. But it was the hardest thing I've had to do, I think. So I couldn't keep anything down. I was like sensitive to like smells, especially when someone was cooking. And so like it made me nauseous. I also lost around like 7 to 8 pounds in like 2 weeks because I couldn't keep anything down. I think I survived off of saltine crackers, bread, any type of bread, specifically the blue Gatorade or the blue Powerade. For whatever reason, I was not able to down like the lemon citrusy like Gatorade that I think is recommended for like dehydration. I don't know. But, and also like I tried getting like peppermint oil to smell whenever like nauseous came. Couldn't do it. Wasn't for me. I think it made me like throw up instantly. I couldn't drive because I would throw up, motion like sickness. I was extremely pale. I looked sickly. Like, it was weird. But other than that, I survived. I also felt extremely bloated, which is funny to think about now. I thought I was huge. Like, I thought I was like 5 months pregnant or something like that, or further. I don't know, but I thought I was huge. Then, obviously, like breast tenderness still, not all the time, but there would get tender sometimes. And pee. Oh my gosh, I would pee so much throughout the day, at night. It was so annoying. But honestly, like, it was just so hard. And that lasted basically through my second trimester as well. So it was like about a month, a little bit over a month of just me surviving. And honestly, like, I cannot thank my mom and William's mom enough, because they had us like on a food train or whatever. Like, so my mom would come and bulk meal prep for us on the weekends, and William's mom would come on the weekday since she lives like 20 minutes from us. So like between my mom and his mom, there was always food that I was able to eat and like hopefully like keep down, like chicken soups and just like healthier foods that my body was able to like retain. I wasn't really craving meats like at all. Like the thought of chicken or red meat, no, I couldn't have that. So I was just really eating like veggies, like steamed veggies. And obviously, like, they would cook for William because he wasn't going to survive off of veggies. But so the hardest part, now that I think about it and look back on, is not being like existent for that period of time where I was extremely sick. I feel like I couldn't do anything for myself. I was extremely weak. I wasn't really present for William, like in like daily activities, right? For like say cleaning and cooking or even just like hanging out. Um, I felt, in a way, I felt useless. And that's such a harsh thought, knowing that I was growing two babies inside of me. Obviously, I wasn't being useless. I was just extremely tired. That and like the mental like toll took over as well whenever I thought about like not being able to like hold anything down, not giving like the babies like the proper nutrition for them to grow. So I also went down like a rabbit hole of like, oh my gosh, are my babies okay? Like, are they growing properly? Like, are they getting the right nutrition? Like, it was just a whole thing in my mental that I had to calm myself and tell myself like, we're okay, I'm okay, like everyone's gonna be okay. Also, like the hardest part, like I said, it was not being present for William, and he had to do everything. He took over cooking when we didn't have any more food, from like the bulk cooking that our moms did, and cleaning, like picking up after like me and him and taking care of the dogs. He didn't mind it, but me myself, like I felt like I was letting him down. However, in no shape, way, or form did he ever say, hey, like how come you're not helping or anything like that. Like instead, you know, he would tell me like, go to sleep, go rest. Like the babies need you to be okay, to rest so they can grow and be healthy. You know, he understood and he saw that I was going through such like an emotional and like physical change so fast that I just don't know what I would have done without him, and like being such a supportive husband. So I saw him like in a different light almost of like, how can I possibly love you more? This is how he showed me. And honestly, like it's such a blessing to have a supportive husband and a partner that understands like what's going on, and doesn't shame you for anything. So I had one ER trip in my first trimester. It was around week 11, I believe, or something like that. I believe that's still my first trimester. Anyway, so basically I was still going to the office at this point. And that was the last time I went to the office, by the way. So it was, I think, back in September. Our office is on the 11th floor of like a high-rise building, like a typical office building. But for whatever reason, that building is always like weird. And the day that I went in, the power went out of the entire building. So it was around lunchtime or something like that. And the building sent out a notice like, hey, like, you know, we don't know when the power is going to come back. It might be in an hour or it might be tomorrow. And so we decided to, you know, call it a day, go home. And so my office is located on the 11th floor. So my pregnant ass had to carry my backpack, which includes like my laptop and like, you know, other electronic gadgets. That makes my backpack a bit heavy to begin with. My purse, that I tend to like overpack because for whatever reason, I think I need everything in there. And my lunch bag. So I was carrying 3 bags down 11 flights of stairs. I was trying to be careful and go as slow as possible when you have so many people at once trying to like leave the building, it becomes like, it gave me like anxiousness of like I had to like walk faster. And so I remember just being like extremely tired by the time I got to my car. And then that night, I started to get really bad cramps. They didn't last long. They felt like period cramps for the girlies that get cramps. If you know, you know. But it wasn't like super intense. So I was okay. I was like, maybe it's just like normal, because I've also like read or heard that, you know, cramps are normal through like the pregnancy. So I didn't pay attention to it. However, the following day I woke up with pain, kind of like down in like my uterus, like pelvic area. And that was a Tuesday or Wednesday, I don't remember. But basically that pain persisted all through Saturday. I kept my doctor informed of like what was going on. The pain wasn't really intensifying or minimizing. It kind of just like stayed. And I was like, okay, I'm not sure if this is like okay. I was like, but it still hurts down there, and it had been a few days now. And I told William, I was like, if this pain persists, like I would like to go and get checked up or go to the ER on Saturday. So we both agreed, and Saturday morning came, pain was still there. And I go and have an ultrasound, and the babies are fine. I'm fine. No one really gave me an answer about what was happening or what it might have been. The doctor tells me that it might have been round ligament pain, which I don't know if it was that, because it was persistent and it started whenever, you know, like after the day that I exerted myself from walking down 11 flights of stairs with like 3 bags that were extremely heavy, by the way. So I don't know, no one knows, but that was my first trip to the ER. Final thoughts on my first trimester with twins. Looking back, did I just live through? Honestly though, like what happened? What did I just live through? Like what are these new changes to my body? Mentally, physically, like emotionally, everything. Oh my gosh, like everything changes. The woman's body is insane. I hope that men understand this. Yeah, no, that probably has to be the hardest thing I've ever gone through or anything like that, because it was a really long time for me to get out of like the sickness trenches, I guess you can say, of like feeling okay, getting my energy back. It was horrible. It was horrible. I don't know what single pregnancy women go through, and I'm sure every pregnancy is different. That my first trimester as a twin pregnancy was really hard. I can't really compare it to anything else. I mean, I've done 2 half marathons and that does not compare to what I've lived through. And I've always been really conscious as well about like not complaining on like what's happening and like what I'm going through, just because this is what I've prayed for, you know, more than 2 years almost. And I don't want to feel like I'm complaining about something that I wanted for so long, knowing infertility myself, and knowing that other people that I know and love and are close to me are also going through infertility. And so I just try to be mindful of my situation. I do feel incredibly blessed that God blessed us with not one, but two beating hearts. And I get to grow them and be their mama soon. But yeah, first trimester, what the hex? What the hex? For real. And I'm sure William can attest to a crazy, crazy roller coaster that him and I lived through my first trimester, because poor man, I put him through the trenches as well of just like not being able to sleep. Like he was always very like vigilant about me, if I was eating enough, like if I was sleeping, or like just being here. He also stopped going to the office ever since I got pregnant, because he just wanted to be here to take care of me through my pregnancy. Sorry, I can't breathe. But yeah, I cannot thank him and my family and friends enough for everything that they did through my first trimester. And my body, and God for giving me the strength. But anyway, thanks for watching my first trimester update video. I'll see you in the second one.